Hey everybody, Francis here, just to give you a quick update on the Patreon. So, if you sign up on the free level of the Patreon at hellofaway2.dad, you will get access to some great deals, you will get updates on a regular basis. But if you give at the $5 level, then you get access to all of the episodes, all the free, all the bonus stuff, and going back 10 years of bonus content. Now, there is also a $10 level. At the $10 level, if you sign up this month, you will not only get access to all of the episodes, you will not only get access to the quarterly care package, which includes stickers, patches, and whatever else I might have lying around, but you will also get the Atomic Ray Cat sticker pack. You will get my green Atomic Cat, you will get the IAEA Ray Cat adoption sticker, and you will get the big nuclear explosion. It's no biggie. All of that will be sent out to you if you sign up at the $10 level this month. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
The war! Will the top! 15 birds in 5 fir trees. Their feathers were fanned in a fiery breeze. But funny little birds, they had no wings. Oh, what shall we do with the funny little things?
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Francis, and once again, I have with me Eric Peacock from the Soundtracker podcast, and we're here to go down to Goblin Town, the 1977 animated Hobbit. And Eric, I gotta say, I was really trying to figure out who I wanted to do this episode with, because it's full of a lot of names, but like you got to be like a classic movie guy to know some of these names and to be really excited about some of these voice actors in here. And I know that you've got kind of that background. Yeah. It's got some good music in it. And it's also a 77-minute long movie. So, all those things kind of work out really well together. And then, you've got this, and then, of course, we've got the Peter Jackson, which I would never ask anybody to watch all 3 of the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies and talk about it. That is a war crime. But we've got something here.
Oh, no. And, the funny thing is, okay, 2 things. I didn't even know this version existed. Because when you sent it to me and asked me about it, I was like, is that the one with the really weird Leonard Nimoy music? Because I have a really funny story about that song, but the Bilbo Baggins song that he did. But yeah, which I'll get to at some point if I get a chance. But I didn't know this existed. So like I looked, and like you said, the first thing I did, I'm like, oh my God, Otto Preminger and John Huston and Richard Boone and like all these names in it.
Doyle Ravenscroft.
Yeah.
Is in it.
Yes. All of these different names that I saw in here where I was like, you got to be shitting me. And then you said it was Rankin Bass. And I was like this, how did I not know about this before? But as far as I was thinking about this last night watching it, because I was like, an hour and 18 seems too short to do The Hobbit, but 9 hours is way too long to do The Hobbit. And it's like, I would prefer the hour. And honestly, for an hour and 18 minutes, they covered everything that you needed to cover. I think that like, you don't need, I was thinking about how like bloated the Peter Jackson version is. And I had no reason to, because like, I kept thinking about that during this is like an hour and 18 versus 9 hours and whatever. I don't even know what the extended, or maybe 12 hours if they're like extended versions. I don't know. I never bothered with the Hobbit movies. As much as I love Lord of the Rings, I didn't bother with Jackson's. Were there 4 of them or 3? I forget.
There's 3. I watched all 3 once, and that was enough.
The only thing that I really remember from that series is the second one, I believe it was, the way the narrator said, the desolation of Smaug. And he sounded like Trey Parker talking. It sounded like Trey Parker doing it. Yeah. I don't know. I just was not interested. I'll take an hour and 18-minute animated version any day of the week. Absolutely.
And for me, this is one of my like nostalgia movies. I have this, it's still at my parents' house on VHS and the white clamshell VHS thing. I watched the hell out of this, and they eventually did a Return of the King movie, because there is Rankin Bass did this movie. Then some other company did the original Fellowship of the Rings, and they did it in rotoscope, which for those of you who don't know rotoscope, that's when you have the actors act it out and then you animate over it. For a more recent kind of version, A Scanner Darkly did a lot of that. But not a lot of, it's one of those like, art forms that's really kind of lost. And I will tell you, the Fellowship of the Rings movie is not very good. It is very uncanny valley.
Yeah.
However, the Return of the King one that Rankin Bass does is a lot of fun. They just, they had this like, well, I mean, you guys started it. I guess we'll finish it. Fuck the 2 towers. We're just going to skip over all of that. Nobody cares about those towers. We're going to get into this. And one of the real thing is that in the Return of the King movie, it has the best song, which is Where There's a Whip, There's a Way. And it's a goblin marching song where that I, at one point, incorporated into, when I was in the military, a marching cadence. Because it's the goblins are marching and the commander is whipping them to make sure, and their whole song is, we don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says, nay, nay, nay. It's fantastic. Fantastic song.
Is there music in the Lord of the Rings one, the rotoscope one too?
It is not. It is not as musically. They don't do as much as they do here in The Hobbit, and really, The Return of the King isn't as much as well. Like, this was really kind of seen as a standalone. Rankin Bass did Frosty the Snowman and the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that you see every year. The what was the elf that wants to be a dentist and all that shit. That's all Rankin Bass. Thurl Ravenscroft, who sings the Goblin songs in it, is the guy who sings the "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." So you get, and you can hear it too. You can hear the Grinch song in the entire Goblin song too.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting kind of movie that they put together. And I don't know if you notice, like, once you get to the end credits, it's all Japanese names. Because Rankin Bass did the character creation, they did the writing, but they shipped out all of the animation to a company in Tokyo, which went defunct, but then turned into Studio Ghibli. So it's a lot of the animators from there started up Studio Ghibli, and Studio Ghibli has all the great animated movies that we love today. So it has a very strange connection to a lot of things that we really like now. This movie came out in 1977. As we said, there's a lot of big names in it. Richard Boone, who does Smaug the Dragon, who was in Have Gun Will Travel. A lot of Western movies. You've got Otto Preminger, am I saying that right? As the Elven King?
It's Preminger or Preminger, I forget. That's okay.
Yeah, and a lot of really old people who they brought in to be voice actors in this movie. And as I said, I watched the hell out of this. This was one of my go-tos. It was this and Dumbo. I really loved Dumbo when I was a kid. I don't like it now. It's very it's one of those Disney movies that does not hold up. But The Hobbit here, I think holds up. And I know that I'm looking at this with nostalgia eyes, but you coming at this first time, how did you feel about this movie?
Oh, this is really fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. A lot of my notes for this were literally just talking about how cool the animation looked. I mean, I have more than that, but there's quite a bit on, like, the animation on this looked really good. I like the songs. Like I said, I mean, obviously, it's been a very long time since I've read The Hobbit. See, like, I love the Lord. I've read The Lord of the Rings. I saw the movies in theaters opening weekends. Not The Hobbit. By then I was burned out. I read The Hobbit in like 8th grade. I think they had us read The Hobbit for the first time. And I don't know how many. I may have read The Hobbit one more time because I didn't get Lord of the Rings until I was in college. And so it's probably been 20 some years since I've read The Hobbit. So what things got cut, I do not remember. But like I said, for an hour and 18, it felt like they covered everything that they needed to cover here. And I'm sure that there are Hobbit heads who would be like, they cut blah, blah, but whatever. This was a lot of fun.
They cut out Born, the skin changer who turns into a bear. They cut out the Arkstone, which is kind of the thing that makes Thorin the king, is that you hold on to the Arkstone. But all those things are really unnecessary. It hits all of the really important parts of it. It's a whole lot of like the dwarves have a really bad day kind of thing. Because it seems like every time that they're like, okay, we did it. We're here. We made it. Bilbo saved us. And then the next scene is them getting into some shit again. And Bilbo has to come and save them once more.
Yeah.
So they did cut out a lot of parts of it, but I think that they really hit all the really big high notes. They have the orcs. They have really great Gollum scene, but not really overdoing it. Like, one of the things I love about Gollum is he just fucks off after a certain point. Like, he's just gone.
Yep.
You do the Gollum, you get the ring, he goes away. And they don't oversay, the Peter Jackson adds so much other nonsense into that was never in the original book. And I think that's what kind of rubbed a lot of Hobbit heads the wrong way. I know it was for me too. And why am I seeing a dwarf and an elf in love? I don't give a shit. But also, one thing I like about this, you mentioned the animation. Something that was lost in the Peter Jackson Hobbit is they made all the dwarves hot. Like, maybe not Bombor, the big fat guy, but Thorin is a good looking guy. He's got a bit of a nose on him, but he's handsome. But in here, no, they're all just fuck ugly kind of dwarves. And that's how they were always described too. So there are a lot of ways where this really does stay true to the source material while trying to fit this into like an hour and a half TV movie with commercials.
One of the dwarves, I was laughing so hard because the one dwarf, Now, when he's up close, it's still pretty pronounced. But there's a part where they're like sitting around the table and it's kind of a far shot of him. And he literally looks like he's just a nose, like his face is just a nose and a beard.
Gigantic fucking nose. It's fantastic. Yeah, they had a lot of the art form and the animation was based off of an illustrator that did an illustrated version of The Hobbit. And they I can't remember his name. They brought him in. They're like, yeah, we like kind of what you're doing. That's the look that we're going for. And so they built the character models off of that, shipped it off to Japan to do the animation, and then overlaid all the music. So I don't think that we have to harp too much on the plot, but I do want to talk about some of the scenes in here.
Yeah.
Because, it's The Hobbit. You probably have read it. You may have seen the Peter Jackson movie. You know the beats, right? It's meant kind of as a movie or a book that is for, I'm not going to say children, but for a younger audience. And as I was watching this, because I was thinking like, maybe I'll watch this with my wife and kid, because neither of them had seen it. And I didn't have time to do that, so I was watching it on my own and thinking like, oh, geez, my daughter would not like this at all. This movie is creepy as fuck in a lot of different places.
Yes, I have that on here in my notes a few times, how there's like, these parts are genuinely creepy. If I was a kid, it probably would have scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I loved it. I was into it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but and maybe it's one of those exposed at a young age. 'Cause my parents were always all about like, hey, if there's a movie that's based on this, classic book, you should watch it. We should figure it out. They stopped doing that after they took me to see Starship Troopers in theaters.
Why? Because it's a better version of the book.
I love both of them for exactly what they are, but they were not expecting a co-ed shower scene in the middle of it. So I, at the age of 15, was all about it, though.
Yeah.
So one thing I like about this movie, too, is that it doesn't, because it's so short, it doesn't mince a lot of time. Like, we got to get on the road as soon as possible, right? So we get introduced to Gandalf and Bilbo. Like, Bilbo's just, they have the opening narration that's kind of read from the book. Bilbo comes out puffing on his pipe, and then just fucking there's Gandalf. Like, hey, dwarves are coming, bitch. Get ready. You're gonna go out for a time here. You're gonna go on an adventure. And he's like surprisingly very quickly into it, I think. And in the book, it takes a little bit of convincing to get him there, but this adventure is inside of Bilbo. He really wants to go, and he's just like, to carry a sword instead of a walking stick, would be fantastic. And I feel like in the Peter Jackson movie, he's very much like kind of dragged along kind of near the end of it. Like, he does end up as like, yeah, I'll go, it's fine. But like, the dwarves come in, they fuck up, they eat all of his food, they fuck up all the plates, and they have a whole song about chip the glasses, crack the plates. And I gotta, like, I think that was when I started watching the Peter Jackson one, and like all the songs are, a lot of these songs are lifted directly from the book. Like Tolkien put the songs and the lyrics into the books. Other than The Greatest Adventure, all of these songs are from the Hobbit itself. But Peter Jackson, he decided to go a different way with it and not have Glenn Yarborough singing it, and I was kind of out of it at that point.
Well, and you were talking about this opening thing here. My first note on here is when they're trying to convince. Not well, like you said, it happens pretty quickly. But when Gandalf shows up and they're kind of all surrounding him, and there's this shot of Gandalf straight up close up of his face while he's leaning in talking to Bilbo. And I kind of at that point knew I was going to love it because the animation was so cool. And it kind of reminded me of, have you ever seen the Garfield Halloween special?
I believe so. Probably. Okay. I was a big Garfield head back in the day.
So you want to talk about creepy? I'm a big advocate that I think it's just as good as the Charlie Brown Halloween. I really do. And there's a part where they go to this lonely old man's island and the pirate ghosts come. It's like genuinely fucking creepy, like as a child. But the old man is like leaning down and talking to them. And it's like that exact same style where like you just see every fucking nook and cranny in their face when they're leaned down in front, when it's like real up close. I just love that sort of animation. So like right when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, a lot of really exaggerated shots, exaggerated features when they get to the goblins. The goblins, one thing that always stuck in my mind is that the goblins have like two esophagi.
Yeah.
Like they open their mouths and there's two tunnels going down their stomachs, which really, kind of made them even more, brutal and scary. And again, like I was just so into it at the time. It was one of those things that put it in and the kid shuts up for an hour. So my parents had no problem with me watching the hell out of that.
And the goblins kind of look like a cross between a bat and a toad. You know, like they're really creepy looking. They're really good designs.
And I will say this animation style does carry over into the Return of the King. So if you like this, I would definitely say go back and find Return of the King, the Rankin Bass one, and watch that as well, because it's a lot of the same things. The goblins still look the same. They use all the same character kind of animations, and I don't know if they use the same animation department in Japan, but the look and the feel of it is very similar. And again, a lot of it is just, it's very well done if you want to kind of get the gist of the story in under 2 hours. So let's kind of start with our story, because again, it blows through things real quick. We have we're introduced to the Shire, and then the wizard Gandalf shows up, and then he says, "Oh, the dwarves are coming," and then like out of the bushes, all these little dwarf heads start kind of popping up. And they all like, and he's just like, yeah, they're here for tea and for supper, and they're here to kind of offer you to go on this adventure with them. And Bilbo, being a good hobbit and a good host, is just like, yeah, come on in. I can't turn anybody away who comes to my door, so come on in, and we'll talk about it.
And when they all come popping out of the bushes too, like really good. It's just funny, like all these little, because they're just as tiny as he is, what was it, the spiders in this, because the spiders are humongous. And it's funny because there was a point where I was like, the big spiders, and then I was like, actually they're not that big. Actually, yes, they are, because you're looking at like a Hobbit scale to human scale, they should be like the size of St. Bernards, but they're still these tiny little things that you forget that like you're in this world. It's not like, his Gandalf is like humongous compared to the hobbits, but you've got dwarves, which are like to the same scale as hobbits, basically. It's just funny. There's all these tiny little creatures hiding around Bilbo's house that are not hobbits.
Right. And I love that nobody else notices these dwarves just kind of roll in either. Like everybody in Hobbiton's just like, I mean, I guess they kind of look like us. Maybe their feet are a little less hairy, but basically the same. And again, it doesn't take long to convince Bilbo to go on this grand adventure. And then we get, as they're going off, we get the song, The Greatest Adventure. All the songs other than the Goblin songs are done by Glenn Yarborough, who is a famous tenor at the time. One thing I noticed about a lot of these, a lot of the names in here are, these all are people who, one, at some point in time had to go fight in World War II. And two, had to deal with Hollywood in the 1950s, which had a lot of the McCarthy, the making sure that like American values are present in these. And a lot of the voice actors in here, some of them like left Hollywood because they're like, I don't like what's going on here. Some of them were like specifically pushing against these American initiatives and saying like, no, we're going to talk about taboo subjects. We're going to talk about murder or premarital sex or rape and things like that in a way that they should be talked about. So the voice actors in here, really, they have a lot of background in all of this. And I feel like that really, I don't know how, but I don't know if it adds to it. I just thought it was interesting because this is a time where you, me, and everybody who's probably listening to this show did not experience, right? But kind of digging into some of these people, Jack DeLeon, John Hudson, Glenn Yarborough, all these people who were like, very progressive for the time.
Well, and you know what? I'm trying to remember. So Tolkien wrote this. Well, you're talking about the World War II connection.
Yeah.
He wrote these. It was
World War I for Tolkien.
Okay. And that's what I was going to say. It was World War I because while we were talking, I was looking up the date that the Lord of the Rings came out, and it was 54. So it could have been World War II, but I was like, I think he was old enough that it was World War I that he was writing about. Yeah, yes. Yeah. One thing, by the way, I do want to go back to one thing before we get, I didn't know you were going to jump, or I know where you were jumping to. When they were trying to talk him into joining and everything, I love the contract, and then it zooms in on funeral expenses was very funny when he's like, funeral expenses, and the contract keeps coming up throughout where he's like, where's one part where he's like, I don't know, the contract wasn't very clear on that, like just because he has this binding contract.
Yeah, I like how short it was too, because like in the Peter Jackson it's this big long thing, but here it's just like, no, you get 1/14 share, and also we'll bury you if necessary. That's it. That's all you need. What do you want? Like, you either get money or you get dead, one way or the other.
It's the most unrealistic thing about this, that any company would pay your funeral expenses. I didn't think about that too, but this coming like that, you had a lot of actors who you've got a story that was like flavored by World War I, and then actors acting in it who had like had their entire life experience sort of changed by World War II. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, World War II or the Korean War. Well, one or the other. These guys were involved in some brutal bullshit. So I'm not going to try to write, something like that after, spending time dicking around in the air conditioning in Afghanistan. But these guys fought some real wars. So, and maybe that kind of adds to it. But it, again, like I said, it's a very interesting kind of plot device. So the overall plot, if you haven't read The Hobbit, if you haven't watched the movies, Bilbo, the dwarves are like, we're going to go back to the Lonely Mountain. We're going to take back what's ours. There's a dragon there. You're the burglar. So you need to kind of figure out how you fit in here. And, because Gandalf is just like, you need this guy. No idea why. Doesn't matter. Just even in the book, it's not really explained. It's just like Gandalf just has a feeling about this guy. And I also love that every time these guys get in trouble, Gandalf is nowhere to be found. Just fucks off constantly.
But when they need him, he shows up. There's a part, one of my notes says Gandalf is like John McClane in this. All of a sudden, he'll just show up and just start wiping shit out. It's really fun. Like when they need him, he shows up and just like cleans house.
Right. But it's like, oh, you're tied up in sacks by the orcs. Bilbo's got that. You've been all bitten and venomized by giant spiders. Bilbo's got this. Don't worry about it. Gigantic war. Hold on. I need to come in here and take care of something.
Well, and it is funny that one of the times Bilbo saves them is because he's sort of cowardly and just is like, okay, I've had enough of this. And then like invisibles himself and then ends up like being around to save everybody.
Right. So that ring comes in pretty handy for him here. And of course, the ring in Lord of the Rings, you learn more about it. I really like that in this movie, like after he finds the ring, Gandalf is just like kind of making some cracks about it. It's like, sounds like it has a ring of truth to it. Yes, it rings true.
Doing dad jokes.
Right. But in the Peter Jackson, it's just like, that ring is dangerous. I need to go fucking do some research. But he's just like, invisibility ring, sweet. Cool.
Yeah. Hey, this is a neat thing to have here. We don't
have
to worry about this at all.
Yeah. This will never come back around.
Don't worry about why Gollum is the way he is. Yeah. Just and the trolls in this, by the way, the little scene with the trolls would be, again, very like, if I were a kid, that was the first one that I was like, these trolls in here would be genuinely creepy if I were a child watching this.
Yeah, because their whole thing is, we're going to eat these dwarves. Right. Like, they find Bilbo. Bilbo escapes, but they get all the other dwarves, and they're just talking about, like, we're going to roast them, or we're going to boil them, we're just going to eat them raw. What are we going to do? And this one is when Gandalf kind of shows up and is just like, hey, while you guys are doing all of this, here's the sun. And they all turn into turn into stone.
Yeah. And the little bit where they're again talking about the animation, that shot of Gandalf and the Hobbit standing over the Valley of the Elves, and the sky is that like weird shade of red behind them. Really cool shit.
Yeah. I love when they do come across, because they do see the elves as they're going before they get to the Mirkwood, but they see some of the elves that are kind of traveling, and you get the song of where the elves are singing about, like, oh, where are the dwarves going? Tra la la lolly down in the valley, haha. It's a really fun poppy song that kind of gives you like, hey, these elves are here and they're good. They're going to help out a little bit. After they deal with the trolls, they find a bunch of weapons. And something that's very important in this, that I think kind of gets lost in some, later translations, is that the dwarves were not armed until they came across all of these. Like, they were just dudes. Yeah. Maybe Thorin had a sword, but the rest of them were just a bunch of guys. And then they just happened across a bunch of elven blades, and they're like, oh, sweet, we've got swords. And they take him to Elrond, and Elrond's like, yeah, these are ours. This is, Glamdring the Foe Hammer. This is Orcris, the Goblin Cleaver. They all have really cool names. And then Bilbo takes, Sting. He takes the thing as kind of a dagger, but, it really works out for him.
Yeah, it's the best weapon he could have taken. He chose wisely. And I'm trying to remember, no, it was during the they show a sword close up, but it was not when they're taking the elven weapons. It's when they're talking about Smaug's treasure, I believe, where you got they do a really cool, like, the way the gemstones are glistening on the sword hilt are really neat looking. Like, they do it almost looks like you're actually watching like light gleaming off of something in it. Yeah. Like,
ye old lens flare, but it really adds to the animation here, because this is 1977. They don't have computers don't exist yet, at least not doing the things that computers do now. So you have to like hand animate all of this stuff, and you can definitely tell in places that it's really clunky, but also they know that it's going to be clunky, so they have, like you said, that really great shot of the red sky. They do the close-ups of the swords, close-ups of the faces of a lot of the characters. They really leaned into into like, what can we actually show here and what can we really showcase, I guess.
Noses were what they ended up coming up with. Noses. There are so many good noses in this, besides just that one. Every nose is good in this.
Everybody's got a honker, man. Even Gandalf's got one. Like, they really wanted to like accentuate the faces, and the way that they do that is what if everybody just had a giant nose?
If that studio they outsourced it to thinks Americans all have humongous noses.
Yeah, and there, like you said, there is one guy who's like it's like 50% nose going on. Like, yeah, I don't even think he really talks. If he does, you don't see his mouth move because it's all nose. So something else that we neglected to say is that there's a map that's given to Thorin that gives the entrance to the Lonely Mountain. Thorin's kind of pissed off that he didn't get this in the beginning, but Gandalf's like, your father gave it to me for safekeeping until you're ready to take back the mountain. And the map comes back out during the scene with Elrond because he's just like, oh yeah, there's moon runes. You got to hold it up to the moon and the moonlight will tell you, here's the secret entrance to get into the Lonely Mountain. When the thrush knocks 3 times, it'll shine a light through this thing, and then you'll see this keyhole, and here's the key for it. So we get all the things that we need to get inside of the Lonely Mountain. But then as they get to the Misty Mountains, everybody gets captured by goblins as they're trying to take refuge from the rain. You've got the Goblin King. You've got really, really great goblin animation here, I think. This is the first time we're really meeting the goblins, and every one of them looks horrible and horrifying. Really gigantic heads. Like they don't have the big noses. They're just like all head, no neck, and then body. They kind of look like Hutts from Star Wars. You know, they've just all, and then the two esophaguses, the bat ears, and everything. Gigantic dripping teeth. They really like leaned into like, yeah, these are not good guys.
No,
and this is how you put that out to your audience to tell them like, no, they suck. Look at how gross their teeth are.
Yeah, they're disgusting. And yeah. I will say, I like, again, with this being a children's, like you said, sort of for kids, they don't really mention the ponies again.
Yeah, the ponies are gone. Well, we have a pony at the end.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah, but it also is funny because, again, watching this, I'm forgetting about the scale here. So when they get dragged in and they're like, the ponies, and I'm like, oh yeah, they wouldn't be riding full horses here. Like,
yeah, and the goblins are bigger than the dwarves and the hobbits, but probably smaller than your average human too. Like,
yes,
when Gandalf does show up and you have that kind of scale look to them, Gandalf is much taller. I imagine Gandalf being like a 6 foot tall, normal, average height kind of human, and every goblin is much smaller. But of course, they are squat, they're strong, they're violent, they are, they have these interlopers in their kingdom in the Misty Mountain, and they're kind of questioning the dwarves, saying like, what are you doing here, why are you here? And it all goes to shit when they say like, oh, here's the elven weapons that they're carrying, and just like, oh shit, I know what these are. And murderers, elf friends, and then we get another Deus Ex Gandalf where he comes in glowing Glamdring, the foe hammer is being held up and shining light on all of them because all the elven blades glow when they're around goblins, and just starts fucking laying waste to goblins. And I like the fighting scenes in this because, again, they're limited in the amount of animation that they're going to do. So it's just kind of like you see a slash and then like a goblin going, there's not like back and forth, sword fighting happening. It's just, here's what's Gandalf is going to cleave a couple of these guys and everybody's going to run. And Bilbo is on the back of one of the dwarves as they're running. They duck into a tunnel. He hits his head and he goes falling down some random hole that's there. There's just a hole in the escape route that they have. And that's where we get to Gollum. So you've seen the Lord of the Rings. We've seen the Andy Sedaris who does who does Gollum in the movies. How do you feel about this Gollum?
I love this Gollum. Here's why. The Gollum in this is because I mean, I know he is in the movies too, but first of all, he's like a humongous character. You see him way more, like you said. In this, he's here for a minute, he fucks off. But in the movies, you're going to spend all this time with him. They have to make him somewhat sympathetic. You know what I mean? Yeah. That like he's a tragic character. So like there's times where Gollum is like sort of cute. You know what I mean? Like he's almost like a weird looking dog at some points with these characters in the Peter Jackson movies. In this, he's not. He's like this pathetic, creepy sort of thing that looks like a tuxedo cat that somebody like scalped. It's weird. It's weird looking. And I do love how when they're playing the riddle game, that the animation keeps panning around the cave, like there's full on panning shots going on during it while they're talking. It just adds. But no, I love the Gollum in this.
Yes, Gollum is done by a gentleman called Brother Theodore, who was a German actor and comedian known for rambling stream of consciousness monologues, which he called stand-up tragedies. There is no sympathy for Gollum in this one. You never feel bad for Gollum. You're not supposed to. Like, he just fucking sucks. All he does is eat fish and kind of splash around down there. And now he's found this hobbit and he's like, oh, I'm going to eat you. Everybody's trying to eat the Hobbit or the dwarves in this at some point. Like even the Goblin King, like when he's just like murderers, elf friends, and he rolls up on Thorn about to take a giant bite out of him. Like that's all anybody wants to do is eat a motherfucker in here.
They're tasty. They're tiny little things, you know.
So we get the riddles that they do. Bilbo finds the ring, kind of just, as he falls down, is like, oh, cool, ring, keepsake. I'm gonna put that in my pocket. And Gollum kind of rolls up on him and he's like, oh, good, can you help me get out of here? And Gollum's like, no, I'm gonna eat you, actually. But Gollum loves riddles, because why not? So they have a riddle contest where they kind of go back and forth. The riddles are all pulled directly from the book. Even there's a brief song where they sing one of the riddles, and it's the dark one. But they incorporate a lot of the riddles from the book into this movie in really interesting ways. And then we get to the, Bilbo's just like, I don't fucking know anymore. What's in my pocket? How about that? And Gollum gets really mad about it, and he's just like, all right, fuck you. I'm gonna go get something real quick, and I'm gonna eat you. And he's going to find his ring of invisibility so he can attack Bilbo. Bilbo already has it. Bilbo at this time discovers, he's just like, oh, if he'd only known that this was a ring, and he puts the ring on and he disappears. So Gollum comes back. He's pissed off. He's like, where did he go? He actually knows the way out. He knows a way in, so he must know a way out. He's obviously found my ring. So I'm going to, follow him out, to which they get to the entrance that Gollum uses. Bilbo just does a big hop, skip, and a jump and leaps over him and is out of there and meets up with the rest of the crew. Meets up with the other dwarves. Meets up with Gandalf, just being like, I did my burglary and I got out of here.
Yeah, that's what they brought him for.
Yeah, and nobody really questions it, because they're just like, whatever. Let's move on to the next thing.
Well, wait, real quick. It's been okay. So when you said that they incorporate the song.
So there, during the riddle session, there's a song that's cannot be seen, cannot be held, cannot be, that one, and the answer is the dark. Fills every void. Gollum has the one that he does that's time. Where the answer is time, and he's like, brings tall mountains down. Like, the voice acting was just so well done for Gollum. Like, you really believe that this guy is fucking crazy, and not in the fun, cute Peter Jackson way. Like, this guy is unhinged. Whatever he is, we don't know that he's a former Hobbit now, but whatever he is probably unhinged. And brother Theodore here really leans into it very well.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, probably my favorite little bit of this entire thing was when he's in with Gollum, because it's really just it's just a neat little scene.
Yes. So as they get out, and Gandalf's like, all right, time to go through the no, they don't get to the Mirkwood. They do get chased by goblins who are riding the wargs. This is my favorite song in the entire thing.
So fucked up. It is such a fucked up song.
It is. And it's directly pulled from the book. 15 birds and 5 fir trees. Their feathers were fanned by a fiery breeze. What funny little birds. They have no wings. What shall we do with the funny little things? And again, we're going to fucking eat them. Yes. Every song is about eating them.
Yes. And it is in great fucked up detail, this song. Yes.
Roast them alive, stew them in a pot, boil them, roast them. Yeah. I watched this so much. Every beat is ingrained in my brain.
Isn't there a line about cooking them until their eyes melt or something like that?
Yes. To skin crackles and eyes glaze. Yes. It's very descriptive. So kids were a little bit different back in the day, I think. they could stand up to a little bit more.
It's like a little horror movie scene in the middle of this.
Yes. So then the eagles come, they save him. We get Deus Ex Eagly. The king of the eagles, is just like, whoa, we don't worry, we've been tracking them for a while. We saw that you were in trouble. There's kind of some are they gonna drop us? Are they gonna kill us? And
is it Bilbo or which one's convinced that they're gonna dash them against the rocks? He's like, they're gonna dash us against the rocks.
Yeah, Bilbo was worried about that, and I think he's holding on to probably Bombor's or one of the dwarves' legs, and the dwarf's just like, I mean, they haven't dropped us yet, so like, what are you gonna do? We got no choice here. We're held by eagles. There's nothing we can do.
And that's where he says, I couldn't argue. My contract was vague in several points.
So they go into the Mirkwood. Gandalf once again is just like, peace out. This one's on you guys. You're gonna have to figure it out. They immediately get captured by giant spiders.
Yeah, Bilbo is very resourceful around these spiders, though.
Yeah. And this is, I can't remember the name of the spider god, but I don't think that one is, like, these are the children of the spider god, Melloc or something like that.
Yeah, Melloc.
Been a while since I read the Silmarillion. But the spiders end up taking hostage all of the dwarves and Bilbo as well. For some reason, Bilbo is like not as affected by the venom. And he's able to kind of cut himself free, goes in, kills a couple spiders. The spiders I love that every animal talks, like everything is sentient in here.
Yeah.
The king of the eagles talks. There's a thrush that's just like, no, I talk. Yeah. Tell me what message do you need me to convey here? And they can do that. But, Bilbo once again gets the dwarves out of the frying pan because something else is trying to eat them once again.
Well, and there's another little bit, one of the animation things that I noted in here. I love there's a shot of the spiders chasing, I believe it's one of the dwarves. And there's two of them running side by side. And the shot is from behind the spiders. And it's just their little legs kicking while they're running, while they're like chasing after. Really cool shit.
Yeah, it's the spider scene is very quick and easy, but they he cuts them all out and he's just like, we gotta go, like we can't. There are more spiders, so we have to get out of here. And then are immediately apprehended by wood elves, which are different from Elrond's elves, which I think are probably high elves or some kind. I don't know, but the wood elves not as friendly, not as kind to the dwarves. They immediately are just like, no, we're going to put you in jail until you tell us why you're doing this. And Bilbo, who has the Ring of Invisibility, is just like, okay, I can be invisible and I'll figure something out. And he figures out, oh, these guys bring in wine from Lake Town in these underground caverns. I'm going to shove you all into these wine casks and we're going to float our way out of here, which is, pretty ingenious. And again, all goes along with the book. And that's how they get to Lake Town. And then the people of Lake Town, kind of take care of them, nurse them back to health. And then they go to the Lonely Mountain. And so at the Lonely Mountain, found the location that they need to be in. They find the thrush. The light comes in and Bilbo, takes the key and opens it up. And he's just like, all right, come on, guys, let's go. Let's go deal with Smaug. And everybody's like, that's your job, actually.
Right. They said him all by himself.
And he's trying to just like, nobody's brave enough to come in here with me. And they're like, well, this is your part of the contract, buddy. So we'll talk to you later. Come let us know once you're done. And so we get a great, I love the Smaug animations.
Awesome. When he constantly, he's like trying to find him and he's like focusing with one eye and the light coming out and then both eyes. Yeah, really neat.
Yeah. And, Smaug has this like, I hear you. I hear your breathing. I can smell you. There's plenty for everybody. Come on and take whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm just a dragon. No dragon ever is going to give up anything.
Right.
Bilbo does end up like kind of stealing like a chalice of some kind, but he's got to keep the dragon, talking, and is just kind of really boosting the ego of Smaug to find his weakness. Because, to get the horde back, you got to kill the dragon. The dragon's got to be gone. So, he says, oh, I've always heard that, Smaug the Magnificent, you're so strong. But I've always heard that there's weaknesses on the belly of a dragon, that that's really soft. And he's just like, no, look at me. And he leans back and he's just like, look at, you get this great animation of this giant dragon who's just like lounging back. He's just like, check it out. I am glistening.
Doesn't he say something about like, it's pretty impressive or something? Like he says something along those lines of like, it's pretty impressive.
Are you not entertained?
Well, one thing I thought though is if I'm Bilbo in this situation, I'm not putting all my trust in an invisibility ring against a fucking dragon that could just be like, I don't know where you are, but I'm going to let out a fire breath across this entire place. And because it doesn't make you invincible. Like you're just invisible, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It just can't see you. And also this guy can hear and smell you. Like, he doesn't need his eyes here.
Yeah, this guy decides he wants to breathe fire in your direction. Like, you're fucked even with that ring on.
Exactly. And in the Peter Jackson, it's a whole big scene with Smaug and everything. Here we've got about 3 minutes, but he asks, like, thief, what's your name? And he's like, he starts giving him all the names. I'm the burglar. I'm the ring wearer, the luck haver. And he mentions the barrel rider, and he says, barrel rider. Okay, I know who you are. You're one of those fucking lake men. And I'm just gonna go take care of this now.
Yeah.
So Smaug leaves. Bilbo comes running out. He's got a little scorch mark on his back there. They put him out. He's like, look, I stole this. And then, they see Smaug leaving the Lonely Mountain and going off to Lake Town. And the dwarves are like, this sucks to be Lake Town, I guess. And all move into the mountain. So then we cut to Lake Town. We've got Bard, the dragon is coming in. Bard, who is the, I don't know, mayor or king or whatever. In the movies, the Jackson movies, he's just like a guy. But here in this one, he's the guy. He's the leader. And the thrush comes. Bilbo tells the thrush, like, oh, go tell him about the weakness. You saw it. He goes and tells Bard. Bard wastes no time of seeing, like, yep, there it is. Get my black arrow out. Give it a good kiss for luck, and fire this off and kill Smaug. One shot, just right into the heart with the thing. The dragon crashes into the lake. Everything's good. Everything's golden, right? Everybody's happy. End of the movie. Incorrect. So, of course, after all of this happens, now Lake Town's just like, that dragon really fucked us up really bad. And you guys got a lot of gold, and we've been living in the shadow of this for decades. How about you give us a little bit of money? And of course, dwarves being greedy, they're back with their gold hoard now. They're immediately just like, no, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. And Bard says, like, well, I guess we're just going to have to come at you with swords then. And then the wood elves also just show up. They're like, yeah, we want a piece of that too. We hate you guys as well. Fuck you. And so they're all prepping for war. Bilbo the entire time is just like, this is fucking stupid. There's so much gold here. Like,
yeah, we could all have some.
Yeah. Like, what do they need? They're wood houses on a lake. It's very easy to take care of this. But they're like, no, this is our gold. We got it back. And he's like, you didn't. Bard is the one who killed him. He's owed something. The wood elves definitely probably owed something as well. Why are you doing this? And Thorin is just like, you don't know things about war. You only know things about burglary. And Bilbo's like, I guess. This all seems really fucking stupid, though, and I don't want to be a part of it. But as the Battle of Five Armies comes along, it's the Wood Elves, the men. Dwalin, the cousin of Thorin, brings an army because he's heard that the dragon is slain, and he's coming back to be with the king under the mountain. There's even a point where, like, Balin or Baelor, one of them, comes up and is just like, oh, great king under the mountain. And he's just like, it's Thorin. What are you doing? And he's like, shut up. I'm the king. This is exactly what he should be doing.
And I love, by the way, the shot of all the like little dwarves getting ready for war is very funny looking. Like, they're just these little guys that are like suited up with like armor and like they're and I, you know what, I spoke wrong earlier. I said I guess Bilbo wasn't being cowardly. He was being smart, but he like, basically is like, fuck this. I'm putting my ring on. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
Like, I don't need to deal with this.
My contract says 1/14. I've done my part of this. Nobody said anything about me having to fight a war, so I am out. So we've got three armies. Then the goblins show up on there riding the wargs.
Riding wool, yeah.
Yeah, riding wolves. Gandalf once again, like they're all the three are about to go to war, and Gandalf shows up and he's just like, no, you have bigger fish to fry. Here come the goblins. And like all three of the kings are just like, actually you're my best friend. And what if we didn't kill each other and we instead killed the shit out of some goblins and we all work together?
Yep, we got a common enemy.
Yeah, and for sure that brings everybody together immediately, and they're like, yes, we need to deal with this threat now.
And that battle is pretty violent.
It is. And I love, though, there's, again, the action scenes that they have are kind of just slashes and, kind of still shots of goblins or men or elves being killed. But then you like pull away and it's just like a big cloud with little dots and little arrows kind of shooting.
Yes, it looks like an old Atari game.
It does. But still, like, really, and we see this through Bilbo's eyes as he's kind of standing above it. And he's just like, this is a bit too much for me. and then the three kings are together and they're just like, I don't know if we can deal with this. And Gandalf's like, don't worry, here come the eagles. They'll take care of it too.
Yeah, he's like 5 armies. He's counting the number of armies that are going after one another.
Yeah, and he throws up his hands. He's like, I'm out. I'm done. Yeah. Gotta get out of here.
But I love the eagles come in and just start picking wolves up and chucking them around.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to show up with like swords and arrows, but what they have is gravity. So they can reach down, grab these guys, take them about like 50 feet, and huck them into the ocean or into the lake, or just directly back onto the ground again.
Dash them into the rocks.
Right. So Bilbo, puts the ring on. He's just like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not dealing with this. And he says, like, one of the dwarves kind of like comes up and he's just like, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, well, we won. What happened to you? He's like, I got hit on the head. I was knocked out for a couple of hours. Whoops. I missed the whole thing. My bad. When really he's just been chilling behind a tree wearing the ring the entire time. And we get, he speaks to, Bilbo comes back into the fold. He speaks to Gandalf, and he's like, of the 13 that we went with, 7 are alive, and it'll soon be 6 after Thorin passes. Bilbo goes and talks to Thorin, and he's just like, you were correct. You were the one who understood war better than I did. If only all of us were more like you and understood that what we should be focused on is music and food and good cheer. Maybe I wouldn't be dying, but here I am dying. So, and thus falls the king under the mountain.
And was it worth it? That's where you get the you definitely see where Tolkien got his influence from his experiences in the war, Yeah.
World War I was definitely this was not worth it. We did not need to feed 80 million people into a meat grinder kind of thing. So, and also the Battle of Five Armies, that was also World War I, just like kind of overlapping alliances. And it's like, well, I got to go. Well, you got to go. Well, they're fighting me. So you got to come hang out and help me out. And, in the end, it turned out the whole thing was stupid. We should have just given them the gold and, helped out and been, more generous with what we have. And none of this would have happened. But, sometimes we don't learn lessons until we take a sword to the face, I guess. I don't know. And then our final scene is just, Gandalf and Bilbo going home. And Bilbo's just, Gandalf's like, you just took 2 bags. He's like, I mean, what do I need? Like, I don't need any of this. I took what will keep me going and keep my family going for years at this point. And it's always kind of assumed that Bilbo has money. Like, he's got a hobbit hole. He's got a lot of food in his larder. I don't know how economics in the Shire work, but it's somehow he's doing okay for himself.
And it also seems like hobbits are not a creature that needs a ton of money to be happy.
Right. It's just it's not that necessary for them. And then really that's kind of it. Like they go home and it's just like we're done. He's got the ring. There's no real there's no real talk about like, ooh, this evil ring that's going to come back to haunt us. It's just like, he's got a ring, he's got some gold, he's going to go back home and smoke his pipe and write his book. And that's it. 77 minutes, man. That's all you need.
I'm going to ask you a question, having not seen the Peter Jackson Hobbits. So do they have the same problem that the Lord of the Rings do with the last one where there's like 12 different endings? Because again, I like that this is just like, here's this ending, we're done. I don't know if his Hobbit suffers from the bloated ending thing that and again, I say this as somebody who likes Jackson's Lord of the Rings a lot. I think he did a great job with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But at the same time, Return of the King has like 12 endings. Like it just keeps, here's an ending, here's an ending, here's an ending. Does the Hobbit suffer from that too?
No, not the book. The book very much,
No. Not the book. I'm talking the Jackson's adaptation of the book.
No, I don't. Well, the thing about the Jackson adaptation is that they add so much unnecessary story to it, and then in the end, there's no bloat at the end because the bloat is just throughout the entire trilogy.
Okay, that was my question.
Now, to be fair, at the end of Return of the King, that book does have like 5 different endings.
I know, but it just feels it works better in a book than it does in the movie, I think.
Yeah, and they left one of them out because there was a whole thing where Saruman goes back to the Shire and like enslaves everybody, and then they have to go and like free the Shire at the end of the Return of the King, and they're just like, I think 5 endings is enough. We don't need the 6th one. Which, thank you. You didn't need that one.
Right.
We don't need the desolation of the Shire. It's perfectly fine. We're good with our 5 endings here.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I love that it was. And here's the thing. When you said that we were watching The Hobbit animated, I was like, I hope this isn't like 3 hours long. And when I look at the runtime and it was like an hour and 15, I was like, fuck yes. Like it's, I was like, keep it a tight 90. And I'm like, I don't, here's the thing. This is one that I absolutely could have watched for another half hour. Like I would have been fine with that. You know what I mean? Like if this were even longer, 20 minutes, even like keep it a tight 90, a little over 90, I would have been absolutely okay with that. But I do think that they managed to do well with what they did for an hour and 18 minutes.
Yeah. They took a story, which The Hobbit is not a long story. They hit all of the major plot points. Again, they leave out the Arkstone, which isn't really necessary because You just like, I'm the king. I'm Thorin. That's just how it goes. That's how succession goes. I don't need an arc stone for that. They leave out the skin changer because he's just kind of there to like move the story along. It's kind of like leaving Tom Bombadil out of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. It really wasn't. He wasn't all that necessary in it.
Yeah.
Like Tom Bombadil is a fun character, but like that's also about like 40 pages that didn't need to be in there. He doesn't do anything, and we never talk to him again. So It's okay that they leave that out. It's okay that they leave out a lot of some of the more intricate plot points in this because they hit what's important, which is this isn't a basic adventure story. This is like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. You know, this is You got 13 warriors and one guy who took thief class. And it turns out the thief class guy has to do all the real work. Because everybody else keeps getting fucked up by spiders or goblins or orcs or whatever. On
a quest, on a fetch quest.
Yeah. Should try to not look so delicious next time, I think.
It's those hairy feet, man.
There is one of those in the beginning when the dwarves show up and they have the toast to Bilbo Baggins, may the hair on his toes never fall out. Which one of my favorite lines in this too.
Yeah, it's good. No, I really like this. I had a lot of fun with this. I'll be honest with you. You started talking about the other ones, and I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, hey, you ever want me to come back? Like, if you want to do this as like an annual thing where we watch one of these, I would be down with that.
Yeah, we'll do the rotoscope one again. I remember being like kind of disappointed with that, but I think it's just because the animation isn't very good.
Yeah,
but they do cover a lot. Like I will say, the rotoscope one is very creepy too, because when they get to the Nazgul are fucking creepy in that one. They did very good with that, and it's been a long time since I've seen it. So maybe I do think maybe we'll revisit that one. We'll I don't necessarily think that we have to wait a year for it, but I do think that it's worthwhile to kind of revisit some of these older movies here.
Well, and I just said a year from now, but it doesn't have to be that either. Yeah. I'm looking. You got me looking. I don't think the animation. I think the animation. I'm actually. Oh man, John Hurt. There's some good actors in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they pull some good people in it. I mean, this came out in 1977. Return of the King was 1980. So you still got a good bunch of like real guys to throw in there for voice acting.
What year was this?
The rotoscope one? I don't know about that one.
78.
Okay. So yeah, right after this one. But okay. Eric, we're going to go ahead and wrap on this one. I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Go watch The Hobbit. You know, I think you can like buy it on YouTube. I acquired it through other means, if you know what I mean. So, but
it's streaming on HBO right now. That's where I watched it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you got it on HBO. You're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. It's like we said, it's under 80 minutes, and that's my sweet spot. Like movies that are like 3 hours. I haven't seen The Odyssey because fuck that 3 hour nonsense. I don't have time for that. But hour 17, I'm there. Let's watch it. So we will definitely come back and watch some of the other ones.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah. So Eric, remind everybody where to find you.
You can find me at Soundtracker Podcast, which is, I guess, my Twitter, but I don't really use it for anything, is Soundtracker with an underscore at the end. And I'm on Twitter also as Uwe Bollocks, UWEBOLLOCKS. But my podcast can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts. Francis was just on recently talking about Shrek. I did Dirty Work since then, and I have Super Troopers coming out. Well, probably it'll be well before this comes out. I don't know when you're actually putting this up because Super Troopers comes out this Friday. But I got a lot of good stuff coming down the pike here. I got Miami Vice. I've got Heat. I'm doing like a Michael Mann stretch here. So I've got some good stuff on the way.
All right. Well, Eric, we'll definitely bring you on to talk some more old-timey Lord of the Rings and Return of the King, and I hope that the rest of them live up to it. But again, I think, like I said, you're the perfect person for this because I felt you would really appreciate this. And I'm glad of how excited you are watching it and being like, oh, there's more. Let's do more. So
yeah, I love Rankin Bass. So yeah, keep them coming.
Keep them coming. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Roast them alive or stew them in a pot. Fry them, boil them, eat them hot. Bake and toast them. Fry and roast them till beards blaze and eyes glaze till hair swells and skins crack. Fat melts and bones black in cinders lie beneath the sky.